What's up, guys? Wobbly Rick here. No idea why chat's disabled, but it seems to be. I actually need to double check and make sure it is running. Yeah, it's running. Okay. Just drop down. Got everything I can get out of here. Looks like some audio isn't functional. Reader's Guide to Archery, Volume 3. Leg shots crippled my opponent. Reader's Guide 1. What does it say? Recover 20% more arrows? Oh, okay, I can retrieve 20% more arrows. Okay, well that wasn't a complete bust. What do you want? Go home. Yes, I'm talking to you, zombies. Road closed. High radiation area. Road work ahead. I can't believe that worked out. Let me see what this is. Needle and thread. No, I'll take that one even though I think I have all of needle and threads. Okay, so needle and thread volume 2, 4, and 5. Okay, needle and thread 2, 4, and 5. Nope. They can all get sold off into the market. Yep. Market, market, market. Yep, yep, yep. So basically every book I picked up to this point is all for market purposes. What do you want, man? They add McDonald's coffee or something. Alright, got rid of them. Carba! Up in 6100 block of Diarrhea Town. Well, that was a massive lag spike. I'm only gonna play it for 30 minutes though. Oh man. Shouldn't you be at the hospital? Job abandoner. I bet it's your fault the people turn into zombies. See, that's what happens when you abandon your job. You're supposed to be at your post. I'm sure she got the brain splatter of that point. Uh-oh. Oh no, this is just like whenever I went to that Toys R Us where I was trapped. And those security guards thought I was a thief because I was brown. And all I was doing was playing with a toy. And I was 12. America, the land of the what and the home of the Whopper.
Everything is for sale.
Is it? So I assume your derriere is for sale too. Volume 5. Sure, Buds gives me what, 10 minutes of something. Let's see. Yeah, everything from volume 5 and down is good, so 6 and 7 is all I need. And every copy of Needle and Thread can go into the trash can because that's all they're worth. They're garbo. All that gawking and that's all you buy? Tharanastica. I wish this guy would tell me that. He'll get a fat lip right there. Be like, I'll bust that ass. Damn straight I will. So I need AK parts if I want to freaking make a better AK. Best quality I'm gonna be able to make is freaking. I think a low quality version of it. First, I need to see if it has a level 1 AK. Well, he's got robotic parts. Plaster cast mold, which I already bought. Pipe bomb schematic, which will come in handy. I think I already have that one. Blades of steel objects, etc. Don't need no pipe shotgun, but I definitely need to go ahead and grab the AK machine guns. Okay, it's gonna cost me like 9,000 in total, but parts I'm getting back are more subsequent than what I'm actually sacrificing. 4166 for that one. These have a price of 230, but their parts are more expensive. I also have some spear parts in here. Yeah, there's steel spear parts. 336.
Was there something else?
Well, let's go with the fat lip I'm going to give you, sonny boy. Magazine size is 32. These have a better magazine size than what I'm currently wielding. But they have shittier damage output and less part equipment. Oh, let me see if he actually has any attachments.
I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
I have to ask you to sit on it. But we all know he ain't gonna do that. Better barter. Let's see what you got now. Loot didn't change too much, but in a secret stash in the back room, he's got now a lever action rifle, which he didn't have before. He's got an impact driver, which I'm very interested in. Need to upgrade that. Need to fix that wrench too. Gonna sell him the gas.
Well, good luck with that.
I think the electric wire relays in total cost 175. Yeah, for the whole pot. $301. So I'm building it back up so I can get an impact driver. Did add a little bit of better quality of material. The impact driver will definitely come in handy. With most things I'm going to be tearing apart. But until further notice, it's not very useful. Did get some useful turrets though, but nothing
That's
major.
right. Do the math.
Yeah, I will. I'll call you Uncle Chokey from now on. You choking that chicken. For those of you who know who Uncle Chokey is, I congratulate you. It means you are alive when the grim adventures of Billy and Mandy were out about as a TV show. I really gotta move this phone over because it's literally got a timer on it for like a set span timer of like 30 minutes. I'm not gonna make this into an episode-based material, but I'll mostly just have it like this, so that way I know that I've spent a total of 30 minutes on the stream. Just so I can manage it out. I don't get what's up with everybody in the household though. Like here, like I need to wash or I need to dry my clothes and stuff like that, and all everyone does is give me lip. That I don't understand. One of these days this house is gonna burn down, they're gonna lose all their clothes along with it. And I wonder if they're still going to give me lip. Because you know, whenever I ask nicely, people always treat me like shit, but if I act all shitty to them, I still get the same response back. So there's really no general discretional change in how they act. I could treat them like they're the goddamn Queen of England, and they still gonna treat me like shit. Perspective, moral lesson here. If your family doesn't change after several years or whatever, you should leave them hanging. So that way you don't gotta think about them, don't gotta see them, and don't gotta worry about them. Just leave them there. They'll be there. Probably not to cheer you on, but they'll be there. Whenever they need your help, well, you won't be there. Something I learned. People want to go into business, but then it's just like nobody ever thinks about the consequences of what happens if their idea flops. And do you know what happens to the investor? The investor don't get their deposit back. People don't care as long as somebody invests in their idea. That's actually the truth. If you're an investor, you need to be very wise with your decisions on who and what you invest your money in. You don't want to invest your money into something and then get absolutely nothing in return. Or have everything blow up in your face and then it turns out to be a bust. That what you're investing in went nowhere. You always want to turn a profit, because if you're not turning a profit, you're losing money. If you keep sinking money into something, it ain't worth it. Doesn't matter how good the deal sounds like it's going to turn out. Most of the times, people should know that if you're running an insurance agency for cars or human life insurance, you're running stuff like that, you're going to be borrowing from federally owned banks. Now here's the thing, the insurance business is only good, but it's only good to those who can afford it. And if you're not the demographic that can afford it, don't expect for it to turn out good. Because there is such thing as a targeted demographic whenever it comes to making a sale. What's up, Squid? How'd that shotgun blast to the leg feel? Feel pretty good? You see a doctor about that eye patch thing you need to have going on, man. Yeah, I guess on State of the Union. That reminds me, Mr. Moldy's parents live in Montana, but I don't remember where. I'll know when I see the ranch. And I'm pretty sure he's going to point a gun at my face. Because he's probably going to ask me, what the hell am I doing here in Montana? And why did I come all the way to his house? More specifically, why did I go all the way to his parents' house? Then I'm just going to throw it in his face that he's the one who offered me to come there. And although that was years ago, I'm there to learn something new. With my Daffy Duck intelligence, I'll be just fine. Of course, you do know this means war. Man, that reminds me when I got that one freaking Twitch streamer to play Duck Dodgers. Man, he just... Like, I ain't gonna lie, I mean, he hated the game. But to be quite frank and honest with a lot of you out there, people who knew anything about the Duck Dodgers game for Nintendo 64 and stuff like that, if you ever actually played it, for those of you who are a fan of Daffy Duck, you would have enjoyed it. For those of you who are not, well, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's sort of a give or take situation with that game, because it was really rare whenever you found an actual good copy of the game that someone didn't perpetually break or try to corrupt the operating system of that little game. And yes, the game did run on its own operating system, a particular game engine, but the point was this. There were people out there in the world who actually hated the game, that if you actually rented it out, and yes, they did used to rent out Nintendo 64 games. If you tried to rent out the game or whatever, people were always doing things the wrong way. They were always taking them. And then they were trying to break into the games. That was like in the era of when they were trying to make games scarce and make them impossible to find. But what they didn't know is that Nintendo of America not only built hundreds of Nintendo cassettes or drives, whatever you want to call them, and just not only just sell them to the United States American public, but they also sold millions of copies into Mexico, which were in possession of millions of copies of Nintendo 64 games that a lot of people thought were ultra rare and hard to come by. Well, trust me, if you're looking for that Nintendo 64 game that everyone says is ultra rare and all that crap, you're gonna find it in Mexico. All these supposed ultra rare Nintendo 64 games are incredibly common. This even includes GameCube, Super Nintendo, NES, all that stuff. You're going to find it in Mexico. You're not going to find it here in the United States. People go to Mexico where they find all these classic gems just floating around, unclaimed or completely unplayed, and people just try to sell them for a ridiculous markup price. Even people in Mexico try to claim that they're super rare and vintage. Yeah, I understand vintage, but super rare is no. Like, there's a freaking warehouse full of them. Like, there's literally a place where these games go to, like, just sit there. They're literally in a massive storage. So, in perspective, you will find a lot of these hard to find games. You might not find them in their original game covers and everything, but I guarantee you, you will find the games in Mexico. Because that's where I found some of them, and since then I have not turned my back or looked back at buying a GameCube game or a Nintendo 64 game from Mexico. Except for when that era where there was people putting out fake games and stuff like that, and they still worked and everything. Don't get me wrong, they still worked. They just weird homebrew based games. They're like somebody made it in their backyard or something like that, I guess would be the whole phrase that somebody would use to describe it here in America. In perspective, there were some people who made fan games and spin-off fan games based on the same engine of said game. And, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, some of them turned out to be really good. So I got no objections. Genuinely don't. Some of those fan-made games and stuff like that turned out very well. And some of the people in Mexico were actually intelligent enough to know how to use software. Not everybody there is backwards, but not everybody there had an education. People talk poorly about the Mexican population, which my father's heritage is based off of, and everything that he believes in was based in that entire country because that's where he grew up. But his parents made enough money when he was young to help him find somewhere to have clothes and to feed himself and to find a place to have an education. And then one day I think his parents let him go to a white family, and then they took him in and then educated him. Something like that. Then he got married to his first wife or whatever, and I got like some half-white brothers and sisters walking around somewhere on the earth.
Hey, buddy. I hope you didn't let the dead follow you here.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty awkward. When you know you got family, but you don't want nothing to do with them. It's not that I don't like them. It's just, that's a little awkward. Because, you know, the odds are that, you know, there's a pretty good chance that the odds are that your last girlfriend or something like that could have been your sister. And since my father shares absolutely nothing about his past life with other people or other women, it's kind of hard to figure out who's related to you and who isn't. So, you know, I stay away from a majority of races of people, except for blacks and full-blooded Mexican girls and stuff like that, and Asians. Anything that's overseas really has nothing to do with that generalized structure. Like, I got no problem with the Mexican population.
Now, that's all you're gonna buy. I'll let you show yourself out.
I just ain't trying to run into no problems, and I'm not trying to have no mutant babies. Finding out later that, yeah, that is my kid, but it's also my relative. You know, I'm not trying to wake up to that. Because, you know, I've heard of the American dream, but I ain't doing that version of it. By the way, if you're an American citizen, you believe in the American dream and the land of opportunity. Well, here's the catch. The land of opportunity only applies to outsiders. If you were born in this country, you're likely going to be working at a Starbucks or some other ridiculous place. And the only way to get into the land of opportunity, where opportunity actually does exist for you, well, it's going to be really slim pickings. You're going to have to outsource for most of your work, because it's going to be hard to...
Well, it's about time you bought something.
It's going to be kind of hard to get what you want done. Believe me.
I don't trust you. Good deal. You have a game plan.
Yeah, I do. I'm going to run away and hide like Shaggy Doo does. That's my game plan. The reality is the land of opportunity and the American dream died somewhere shortly after the 70s. The American dream died. In fact, people continue to feed the generations after, like a long time ago. Like, if your teachers blatantly tell you straight up that the American dream is over, yeah, that's the truth. It is. The age of prosperity is over. You either better be born with a freaking golden spoon or a silver spoon up your butt, or in your mouth as a child. And you better take full advantage of all that money while it's still available, because it could disappear in an instant. Once that money is gone, you're poor like the rest of us. And if you didn't make something of it while you could, well, you're screwed. So, a little bit of education helps. Focus on your education as hard as you can, because that's your only way out of the world of poverty. And if you really want to land a good place in the world, well, make sure you do it all the way you can. Just force your way. Break through the gates. Destroy the social boundaries. And prevent middle class from going extinct. Because if it goes extinct, well, that's the end of the story. There's no living in luxury or medium-sized luxury and being happy no more. Middle class is the priority function of what you are. And most of the demographic that actually does watch my channel, most of y'all are middle class. Middle class citizens, aka blue-collared people. They call you guys blue collars based on your salary and your monthly living and your day-to-day basis sort of systematic functioning. And that's what they call you guys. And a lot of people in this world don't like blue-collared people, because blue-collared people are humble. They have not been corrupted by money, greed, you know, unrealistic ideologies. And people have problems with people who are not corrupted by unrealistic ideologies. Because if you're not corrupted, then that means they can't corrupt you. And if they can't corrupt you, then they have nothing. Ultimately, in the end, it makes those people angry because they cannot corrupt you because you're humble. And most people who are rich, and I'm going to say it flat out like this, most rich people in the world are really stuck up and are pretty much dead on the inside. While there's that slim percentage of rich people who actually love the people around them because they know what it's like to have nothing. They knew what it was like to not have a silver spoon in their mouth. And that slim percentage of people are what you would call the remnants. They were probably once middle class themselves, and then one day luck just fell out there on their side, and they ended up well with their life, and then it just turned out good. But middle class is perishing, and if middle class vanishes, you're either going to be living in the projects or you're going to be a slave. And a slave is working, and this is what it is. Being a slave is working all month long, every day, almost every day of the week, all month long, and to barely be able to afford to pay your bills. That's slavery. When you cannot afford to pay your bills for a monthly living, and the only money you have spared over, you have just enough money to spend on whatever else other ridiculous expenses you want, like a new car, or maybe a little scooter that you push with your foot, or a new cell phone. Well, you better push that new cell phone idea all the way to the back of your head, because you're not going to be able to afford it, especially with how expenses are today and the inflation of the market. You would need 2 to even 3 jobs, and you would need to be sharing an apartment with a friend. And that friend you're sharing an apartment with is likely going to be your husband or your wife, however you want to view it, because you couldn't afford your average living without their help. So, in perspective, like I've been saying in my streams for a long time, you want a chance to survive in this world? You want to have a good life? News flash for you. You better not be single when high school is over, because if you are fucked. Because you need that emotional help, that emotional backbone and centered function to help support you, so that way the two of you can stay afloat, so that you don't drown from the literal tsunami that you're going to be swimming in, to try to make something out of your life. I know what some people think. It's a bit outrageous. The claim seems incredibly outlandish. And believe me, it does. It sounds really outlandish and ridiculous. But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't make it any less true. The only thing I can tell the people in the general public is that if middle class disappears, it's going to basically be slavery in this country, in the United States. Doesn't matter how you tie it, if you want to make it look good, if you want to make it look bad. Doesn't matter how you tie it up or how you put it. It's over. People are already working daily, and they make just enough to live monthly, on a monthly basis, to afford their apartment, which shouldn't even be costing that much. This is what happens when a government becomes greedy, and the sub-governments of states become increasingly more greedy and demanding for money that is unnecessary, especially on an unnecessary amount or quantity requirement for taxes. Prosperity cannot exist if you snuff it out at the source, and if there is no prosperity, then you have no future. It means your country has no future, and if your country has no future, that means their people have no future. And if your people have no future, the country will collapse from within. Because eventually, it won't be able to stand up on its own 2 legs. Sadly, that's actually another truth. If the country can't stand up on its 2 legs due to increased poverty and issues associated with poverty, this country's going to sink further into its depression, and then eventually it's going to collapse economically. and it might not ever recover again. Now, there are people in this world who would go to great lengths to make sure that this country collapses. And then there are those who would go to great lengths to make sure that it doesn't. Whatever it is that you're doing in the world. Make sure you don't take down everything else around you with it. I'm a little sleepy, but that's just me. Had a batanga earlier today. Personally, that's what I had. And for those of you who don't know what a batanga is a mixed drink. More or less, it doesn't taste as bad as you think it does, but personally, I wouldn't recommend you drink it. Unless you're into mixed drinks, then drink away, as long as you're an adult. If you're a child, stay away from alcoholic beverages of any kind. When you turn 21 years of age, which I think they're going to change the legal drinking age, so I think maybe 25 or 30. It's not just increasing prohibition, it's just increasing your life expectancy and increasing the odds of you becoming successful. In perspective, they probably should have utilized that function a long time ago, increasing the legal drinking age. Because if they had increased the legal drinking age a long time ago, there wouldn't be as many people who are out there on the streets probably right about now. People say there's a time and a place for everything and it's college, but the reality is, there is no time and a place for anything. And believe me, it's not college. There's a time and place for everything, but if you decide to go ahead and start doing illegal things, or being a bad kid, or a bad person in general, doing drugs and then getting people rolled up with you, then yeah, there's a time and place for everything for you, and that's prison. In perspective, I wouldn't look past that if I knew you had like an issue with life when it came to like drugs, and then you try to get someone else hooked onto it. So in perspective, if I know who you are, there's a pretty good chance I'm going to beat you up. If I caught you trying to get someone else onto something. Oh, come on, dude. Okay, there you go. Remember, kids, drugs are bad. Yes, crotch shot. Yes, nom 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 nom. Oh, he had some goggles on him. This will increase my loot if I didn't see, huh? Yeah, they probably lowered down my skills for my rifles, so we're gonna go in here. Go ahead with my fortitude. I'm just gonna put it in there. Just for the hell of it. 'Cause I need to increase my health anyways. One nation upon a move, nothing can stop us now. $19.99, yes. Gonna hit him with a big fat bounce. Okay. Alright. Phew. Yeah, our grain silo operating system definitely isn't working out too well. Oh crap, almost fell off. That would have killed me. Jesus. It's like these creatures have rabies. Probably do have rabies for all I know, and I'm over here being this close to them. Oh no. It's like he didn't get put down. Sorry, old yeller. There we go. There, buddy. Let's go. Oh man, dude, you know, little word of advice. When your kids are looking for love, once they start giving your wife or your girlfriend or whatever love letters that they love you, man, they are going to try to shake up your relationship. Just so you know in advance. Don't be shocked if all of a sudden your son or your daughter is beating up all over you, or your daughter is beating up all over your girlfriend or her mom. And the reason why she's doing it is because she feels threatened that mom's going to steal you away, or that you're going to steal mom from them. Well, tough titty, kiddos. Mommy and daddy were together before you guys even showed up. So it ain't fair the parents gotta lose out. And that's where you want to teach your kids the ideal function of understanding a relationship. And the very importance of understanding that mommy and daddy love each other. However the function of that is. But the point is, when mom and dad loves each other, there's nothing that they can do about it because it's just a love shared between mom and dad. And that love is always going to be between the two of them, which is separate from the love for the kids. It's like there are two substandard categories. You got your kids, and then you got your husband or your wife. And that love has to be separated from children, because if you let it die, well, I guarantee you it's going to ruin the rest of your life. That's usually when the midlife crisis starts to roll in. And then things really begin to destabilize. You know, just out of perspective, I wouldn't take no chances either. I'd personally take the time to tell my kids about love between mom and dad, and that love cannot be interfered with. Even if they think mom's going to steal them away, or dad's going to take mom away, well, you know, how do you think you were made? You know, I'd throw that in their face. Personally, I would, so that way my kids could have a grasp on the idea of how parents are together for a reason. You know, there are members of my family who don't grasp that, and I don't feel bad for them. That's why I'm glad I get a grip on everything that I do with my life. And I do try to improve my life, I do try to work, I do try to make my life go somewheres. But I got way too many obstacles, and I got one too many enemies in life. So like I tell most people, I think leaving this country is the only way I'm going to be able to actually have a successful life. And that's why I always say it. I probably have a better chance outside of the US than I do in it. I got nothing against the people who live here in this country either. Another level 5 shovel I'm gonna throw away. Believe me, when I say I'm gonna throw something away, I really am. I'll throw that item away. It's a little bit redundant. Put him some steroids in there. Well, that was a bit cataclysmic for me. I actually made a bunch of tears come out of my eyes. By the way, for those of you who don't know anything about yourselves or your own physical functions of the human body, here are some helpful tips and advice. If all of a sudden you start to cry, but don't understand why you're crying, and it isn't because somebody did something to you, well, I'm going to give you a little bit of a heads up. It's because you cannot, or you can no longer take it in this world, because it's just too much for you, and the only way to cope with it is to get as far away from the problem. as possible. Sometimes facing your problems may be too much, and in most cases, I'd urge you to take your time trying to face your problems and issues with life before you try to tackle them head on. Because sometimes taking a friend's advice can turn out fatal. So sometimes listening to what your dumb friend has to say about how to handle life's problems and how to deal with it might not be the best option. Just take their advice and, baby steps, man. Don't go rushing in head first, because if you go rushing in head first with your head up your ass, you're definitely gonna get hurt. Or worse. Get broke ass on somewhere. And yeah, I just had a bunch of tears come out of my eyes. So in perspective, what did I learn? Well, I learned no matter what I do, to stop that from happening to me. And believe me, the relevancy and functionality of it happening to me does happen quite often. And the odds of me being able to stop it from happening to me periodically throughout my life is literally zero, so I really don't have much hope that it will stop happening in my life. And my tears won't stop raining down from my face. Like they are right now. They're not stopping. It's not something I'm going to ever be able to cope with. But what I can say is this. As long as you're happy, you're healthy, and most of your life consists of happiness, that is all that matters. Now, whenever it comes to crying, like not willingly crying on your own and doing it willingly and stuff like that, like you feel like you have to do it and stuff like that, like if it happens unwillingly and it just doesn't stop, in scientific functions, there is a deep emotional disturbance that has been left unchecked. And can be fatal as well if you leave it unchecked for too long. Because eventually the outbursts or whatever will become more and more dramatic until eventually it just causes your unbridled, or I guess untitled end would be more appropriate. It can get that bad for those who are wondering. So, in perspective, take it with a grain of salt slightly from here to there and from time to time, but in most cases you want to definitely figure it out before it becomes an issue where your life kind of hangs in the thread. So you definitely want to have that sorted out before things hit the fan. As for me, I can't sort out my problems because, well, the only way to sort them out is to get my option or my choice or my chance, whatever I want to call it. Like, in order for me to stop having my particular issue from happening and stuff like that, I would need to receive my fair opportunity with something. So in perspective, the only thing I can say is this. Get certain issues with your life sorted out before proceeding forward with things. Also, I wouldn't talk to a professional therapist because, in perspective, I would highly not recommend that unless you've been appointed to get a therapist by a doctor. But I'd steer clear from therapists as well. Some of them are rather untrustworthy. Because sometimes what other people have in mind for you is not the best option. Never let somebody suggest medication unless your doctor prescribes it. And a therapist is a form of doctor, but it is not a doctor. You would need to get a second opinion from your doctor. And if your doctor says that you don't need that because it could affect something or cause problems with your body, stuff like that, you would rather want to take your doctor's advice on that one and steer clear from those kind of hazardous type objects. It's best to avoid most medications so that you don't have to deal with complications of your health later. This even includes form factors of ibuprofen. Be careful with certain companies' form factors of ibuprofen pain relievers because they can affect your body and even give you issues with your heart and other functions. They could also generally affect you by taking Tylenols and Advils or increase your rate of heart disease, your risk of heart disease. And you want those percentages to be meaningfully low. You won't really be able to lower them too much by eating a box of Cheerios, I'll tell you that much. But in perspective, you would have decreased your chances by a marginal percentage that's relatively lower than most cereal. Sit down. Okay. All right, that worked out. Yep, got everything sorted out there. I got all the ammunition sorted out, and I got the crap I'm gonna sell in the next run. Nothing in the workbench, nothing over here. Alright, well, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to this thing, and for those of you who are wondering if I'm seeing you in my comment section, yeah, I currently do not have my phone open or a window open to view the comment section at the moment. So if you were in my comments, I am sorry. Because the comment section is broken right now with the entirety of what's literally going on with this thing. But my comment section is broken. I can't see it with OBS, and no comments appear on YouTube, for those of you who are wondering. Like, I don't get any comments appearing on the YouTube channel or whatever. So, if you're hoping there would be some comments and stuff like that, and you'd be able to talk to me and give me your opinions and stuff like that, well, yeah, that's not happening. It's not that I don't want to view your comments, it's just that my comment section is literally broken. And for the reasons, I don't know why it's broken. It literally told me that on OBS earlier. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, tell your friends, whatever. Do what makes you feel good. Do what makes you happy. Ah, crap, I gotta eat something again. I literally got a stuffed up nose at this point. So, just gonna crunch down on this. Turn these on. Literally got a stuffed up nose. I'm feeling really tired right now. And I'm really generally happy that I actually managed to just get a stream going. And again, I'm sorry if anyone's actually trying to put any comments in. I can't see anything. My comment section has been broken for I don't know how long. And I think it's been like that for the past 4 or 5 live streams where OBS has told me that comments are disabled on my video or whatever of my live stream. Even though they're clearly enabled in the system, it appears that YouTube has disabled my comment section, so I can't see anything, even if I wanted to. And I think it's mostly because it's all associated with whatever's going on with the outside world, which most people in the United States don't care about. I care, but I can't do anything if I'm not there. Puts in perspective, you suit me up in a suit of body armor and give me a rifle, I can do something. Well, that lined up pretty well. Oh, it's coming from way over there at that bus stop. Okay, I'll see you guys later. Man, I've already said this like a couple of times. Thanks for tuning in. I wish I could see the comments, because then I'd actually be able to interact better. Y'all can have a good night or a great morning or whatever. I gotta get some sleep and prepare for this Mother's Day thing. Bye-bye.